Hey guys, welcome to the Real Deal Villa podcast. And we are in our studio in Wichita, Kansas. We've opened the studio since then. So it's been probably a year since I've released an episode, but it's because I've been a busy guy. So if you're watching the video, we're sitting at a podcast table that I've been building. And so over the last year, I've been able to open that business, start that business. It's been really awesome and a lot of fun. And also, we've opened our podcast studio here in Wichita also to help businesses, organizations, individuals, influencers, and just anybody with something to say, help them get their content out to the world. And so, here we are in the studio and we're testing gear today. And we're just going to do a quick episode here with my buddy Tyson and his son, Lucian. So how are you guys doing?
I'm good. It's Saturday morning, and I was excited about this for a while. So
yeah,
I'm excited to see it all come together.
Lucian's here for color commentary.
Yeah, I'm here to just add in.
Yeah, he's going to be our comedy relief. So Tyson is with ZenRx, but he's also the maker and formulator of Moon Sour, which is a probiotic fermented product that he's made himself. And I've been taking that for quite some time. But what we're going to talk about today is this idea of letting your or seeing food as medicine. And so I really love that it's like some sort of a proverb that's let your food be your medicine be your food. Have you heard this?
A little bit. I mean, yeah.
I should have looked it up. I don't know if it's a Chinese proverb.
It's like Hippocrates.
Yeah, something like that. So let thy food be thy medicine and medicine be thy food. So this idea that food can be medicine. And so I know you have a lot to say about like Western medicine versus like holistic, healing, that kind of stuff. And so let's just dive into that topic. Like when you're the one that came up with that phrase earlier as we were talking about some of the things that we could possibly cover. And you said, I want to talk about food as medicine. So why? Why do you want to talk about that?
Because I think it's like the lowest hanging fruit for us all to become more aware of. Just seeing the medical community expand as fast as it has over the past 20 or 30 years. It's really become industrialized. It's a machine now that one of the best defense mechanisms we have against being kind of stuck in that medical hole that we get vicious cycles in, doctors passing people around or they don't really know what's going on, but they're going to test this medicine or that medicine. And I want to get everybody to just say, hey, let's take a time out. The medicine is the food that we're putting in our mouth and our bodies. Lucian will tell you it's the thoughts that you're putting in your mind. You are the filter, but my passion is about the food. And if we're going to eat food and consume things for energy and our lifestyle, is it serving us or is it taking away from us? And if we're doing that on a daily basis, how much is that compounding? Everybody understands the compound effect generally. Mm-hmm. But after 20 or 30 years, what are we doing and what does that look like down the road? And if we care about our loved ones, our family and our friends and our kids, shouldn't they know a little bit about how to look at food as choices and are they helping themselves or are they hurting themselves?
Yeah, no, I love that. I love that idea because when I look at food and I think about my diet, the best question for me is not like, is this good or bad for me, but is this life-giving? Like it's just a different mentality. Like, does this give me life or does this take away? So like, if I look at my diet over the past year, I was doing, if you've listened to a Real Deal Villa podcast at all in the past, the reason it started is because I was on a health journey and I was doing this program called 75 Hard. And one of the things you had to do within that program is choose a diet and stick to it. And so I was, trying to eat clean, but I was also kind of doing some keto stuff and that kind of deal. But it's been a while since I've actually done that. And so my diet, if I ask myself the question, has it been life-giving over the past year? The answer is no. And the reason the answer is no is because I can look at my life. And I actually had somebody ask me this the other day. They were like, where are you and where do you want to go? And one of the easiest ways for me to figure out where I'm at is to look at the amount of medicine that I have to take. Mm-hmm. Okay. Right? And so in my life, I've had asthma for a long time. So I have a rescue inhaler. It's albuterol. But during the time that I had cleaned up my diet, I didn't need my inhaler as much. If I got around cats and dust, I needed it.
Oh yeah.
But I didn't need it as much during the time where my diet's been clean. Over the last year, I think I've had to refill my prescription like 8 times.
Yeah.
And so you have to ask yourself the question, am I around cats more? Am I around dust more? Or did what I was eating actually have an effect on my breathing?
Oh.
Right?
Yeah.
So then albuterol, I have pain, so I take Advil. I have heartburn, so I take antacid. Right? So I have to ask myself the question, what kind of medicines am I having to take to self-medicate? And that is a great indication of what my diet looks like.
Sure.
Because when my diet gets cleaned up, those things go away.
And isn't that interesting? You know,
absolutely.
Everybody, a lot of people, especially in Kansas wind, certain seasons changing. We get a lot of crosswind from, the whole western side of the state. People have allergies in Kansas and they're bad. And I will sit here and I will tell you that it's the gut health. Like if your gut is healthy, you won't have allergies. Or if you do have allergies, they will be very, very minimized. I will say that there's some people who are definitely genetically just allergic to certain things.
Sure.
But by far and large, all of the over-counter medicines are serving more bad guts. And so you need more medicine and you need more things to take because all of those things you just described, they're all irritants to your gut lining.
Inflammation.
Every single thing you mentioned, it goes in there and it rips apart your defense walls. So it's like somebody told you to take it. And then at the end of the day, you're ripping apart your own fortress.
Yeah. I want to know what Lucian wrote down.
Yeah. So this really all to me comes down to your environment.
Okay.
And in your environment and what comes into your body is going to affect everything else, right?
Of course.
That's why this is important. So if your food isn't medicine, your food's going to be poison to a certain degree. If you're not eating good, healthy, good food, then it's you're in a negative environment then. Wouldn't that make sense?
It's an interesting thought.
It's
an interesting thought. Yeah.
Boosting you, it's either taking away from you. So that's how I kind of look at it, diet and stuff like that. Is this thing going to take away from me or add to me, like you guys are saying? But if you're not living in a positive environment, what's going to happen over time? The consistency of that. If you take that 20, 30 years, 40 years of just eating constant cheeseburgers, this sugar, this thing, how does that eventually affect the environment of your whole organism? Because everything is connected. Everything that we come into influence with through our 5 senses, it becomes us. That imprints on us. That's important to us. So if you're eating a bunch of things, you're putting a bunch of things into your 5 senses, your organism, into your body, that's going to have an effect.
Right.
Right. And so is that a positive effect or is that a negative effect?
Yeah,
you get to choose. It's your choice. But what is that effect?
And then for those of us who consume alcohol, we just throw all of that out the window and we say, no, I'm going to purposely poison myself for a little while.
Yeah.
But you know what? So when we showed up this morning, I said, man, I'm so tired. I slept like shit last night and I slept like shit the night before. But you know what? I had one alcoholic beverage each night. And it seems like that's the thing that changed.
Oh, yeah.
Is that it disrupted my sleep.
Yeah.
And you know how a lot of people think, well, if I have a drink, it's going to help me relax and then I'll sleep better. Well, it helped me relax, but then I woke up 3 or 4 times a night where that hasn't happened in a long time.
Yeah.
And so it's like, it really does affect. So it's not helping my sleep, it's hurting my sleep, you know, but it helps me. Maybe it does, but like for a moment, I feel like I'm like, oh, I feel good. I'm relaxed. Like, you know,
so alcohol releases what's called GABA. It's a neurotransmitter, and it basically makes you not care.
Yeah. And
so like it makes you to where like you feel like you don't care, that now you're softened, you're calmer, and you think you can get to sleep better. But after about 3 or 4 hours of that alcohol being processed through your liver, it turns into sugar and it dumps into your bloodstream. And so that's why people wake up at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. By the time that alcohol is processed and metabolized, that sugar floods the system in the middle of the night. And people are like, I can't sleep and stuff. And like, they're not really tying it back to like, what did you eat yesterday? What did you eat the day before?
Right. Yeah. So I think it's just important to say real quick, because anytime you get into the diet conversation, the food conversation, well, this is bad, this is good. I would say that there are some things that are objectively bad, but I think there are some things that are subjectively bad and good for people. So like, if you have a dairy intolerance, well, yogurt's not good for you, or, milk's not good for you. Obviously it's taking away, right? But
balance to certain things is what I think you're trying to get at.
Like what?
There's a balance.
Yeah, there's a balance, but there's also what's good for you isn't necessarily good for me, or what's bad for you isn't necessarily bad for me. So it's like someone has a gluten intolerance. Well, it's going to be really bad for them. Maybe you're metabolically healthy and you can process gluten well, I mean, I know there's other effects. I'm just saying, like, I think it's important to put that out there and say, just because you can eat it doesn't mean I can't eat it.
Sure.
That kind of thing. But going back to this idea of like food being medicine, why do you think there are some people? So like any disease sucks, but I heard a statistic and it's something like 87% of disease to humankind is preventable. So you've got like 13% of disease that people are just born with.
Yeah.
They have some sort of ailment. There's something going on in their body. They can't help it. They were born that way. But what do you say to a group of people who are getting sick, who feel like shit? And like, how do you tell them, what? Most of that's preventable. Type 2 diabetes, that's preventable. Like, preventable, reversible, that kind of stuff. Like, how do you get people to actually look at what's going into their body?
It's the hardest thing to prove,
and help them.
How can you prove that something was prevented? Because it didn't happen. So how do you know it got prevented?
Right.
It's this word preventable is like very dangerous because, I'm not able to claim that I can prevent anything.
So let's talk about reversible then, because there are a lot of people who have certain ailments in their body. The majority of the disease in the body is caused by inflammation, right? Mm-hmm. And so you can reduce inflammation or eliminate it through the food that you eat. So how do you get people to like see that,
well, what I would like to do is take it a step further and like, let's start having the conversation. Let's kill the diets. Diets are killing us. We're pigeonholing ourselves into, well, I got to stay on this regimen. And I was told by so-and-so to take this, and follow this thing. And I want to teach people there's no such thing as the best thing to take.
Okay, good.
People need to learn how to make a better choice. If I walk into McDonald's, what's the better choice? Apples or French fries?
That's powerful.
If I go to Applebee's, what's better, the steak with vegetables or the chicken fingers and fries? Okay.
Dad joke time. What's better, the apple or the bee?
The apple or the bee. Don't eat the bee. That's not going to go down well.
Eat the apple and then eat the honey the bee makes.
So here's my apple quote. 1 apple a day keeps the doctor away. 3 apples a day keeps the doctor paid. It's too much sugar.
Okay.
Apples have way too much sugar. 1 a day is good. 3 a day is going to give you diabetes over time.
Interesting. You just made a claim that if I eat 3 apples a day, I'll get diabetes.
It's too much sugar.
Okay.
Like people look at fruit as fruits and vegetables. It's on our food pyramid, but no. Fruit is dessert. It's nature's dessert. Mm-hmm. So we should have it in moderation.
Yeah. So a lot of times we'll talk about what not to do, but let's talk about like the positive side, right? Like instead of focusing on the negative, it's like, what do we do?
Yeah.
It's like, hey, don't fall off the ladder. You're going to think about falling off the ladder. Hey, hold on to the ladder. You think about holding on to the ladder. One is a positive action, one's a negative action. One is passive, one is active, right? Like it's like
anybody can like point out a problem, but let's start talking about the solution.
So how do you like what are some, so you talk about making the better choice, like how do you help people make better choices?
I think it starts with educating on them what's like the very most, like what's worse, like gluten or dairy. Do you know? Like which, if you had to pick two of evils, which one would be worse, gluten or dairy?
I would think gluten.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I mean, gluten's way worse.
Okay.
But over time, dairy becomes just as bad. You know, it can become just as destructive. If you look at it, if you know a lot of kids that the kids growing up in the 80s, early 90s playing video games, the kids that had cereal and milk constantly, a lot of them have colitis and like pull-ups and
cereal
digestive
and milk. Cereal and milk.
Issues, yeah.
Have you heard that song?
No.
Okay.
I've heard of peanut butter and jelly time.
Okay.
Yeah. Not cereal milk.
That's funny. Okay. So yeah, better choices. Like you go to McDonald's. Tell me the better choice at McDonald's.
Best choice at McDonald's would be like getting like one of the like McChickens or something and just taking the bread off or something, you know?
So like a grilled chicken with some lettuce and tomato.
Yeah. Because like the French fries are going to be baked in what I would call like cancerous oils or
fried.
They're called hydrogenous oils or
Seed oils.
Yeah. They're highly synthetic. It's processed corn, and corn's genetically modified, and it's terrible. All the pesticides and everything that goes into that. So like it's a snowball effect. If I was going to go to McDonald's, I'd try to get the salad or fries, but nobody's going to really want that when you go into there. Like you running around all day and you already had to make the bad choice of, dang it, I got to go to McDonald's. You know what the best choice at McDonald's is? The dollar menu. I got to save money. I'm here for convenience. Get what you want. Don't spend $1,000. Like get $4 dollar menu items. That's the best choice because your pocketbook's important. You've already made the bad choice that McDonald's is the answer.
That's hilarious.
So 2 sausage McMuffins and 2 hash browns. It's like $6 and you get a big breakfast.
It's like if you're already drunk, which is the bad choice, what is the good choice between a Fireball shot and a tequila shot? That's great. Lucian, what do you think is your, like, as a, how old are you? 17?
17. Yeah.
So you're 17, you're like light as a feather, you're skin and bones, you look great, you're youthful. Like, do you think about this stuff now, or does it just not even matter to you?
Like health?
Like health, food.
Yes, absolutely.
Like food is medicine.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
He lives with me. He's forced to.
So tell me about it. Like,
but he's like very disciplined. Okay.
So tell me about it, Lucian.
Yeah, he won't eat. Like he
tell me about
I
it,
kind of give
Lucian.
him crap because he won't eat junk food once in a while. I'm like, dude, don't be a square, man. Like, have fun.
I like consistency. I like, if I'm gonna make a change, let's make it kind of like for a while. Let's actually make this a change. So for me, some of my big health decisions were stopping drinking soda, because I realized how inflammatory sugar was. I had a research project for school, and during this project, I figured out what sugar really is, and sugar comes down to, I found out, my dad may say something different, but I found out is it's energy, and you kind of need it. We need sugar to a certain degree, but the abundance of sugar creates this fat liver, a fat gut, and so in my whole family, they're all alcoholics, and frankly, a lot of them drink soda and all that sugary stuff, and that's most of the majority of the population out there too. And so,
do you need to clarify which part of your family is alcoholics?
No, both sides. Okay. My mom and my dad's, and when I have to being aware of that. Now I have to see, okay, how do I not do that kind of thing? How do I not do that same thing? So for me, it was wise. Cutting out sugar may prevent not having in the future, not being bigger or not having an alcohol problem. Or not
He's talking about all of our beer guts.
Yeah.
Like me and my dad's side, all of us have these hot bellies going on.
It's fatty liver, and that comes from sugar, the abundance of drinking sugar.
Oh, yeah.
Or having too much sugar.
Yeah. You know what I heard about
storage of fat?
Right. You know what I heard about fatty liver disease? There was a guy who, he's a gastric or bariatric surgeon or something like that. So anyways, when they go in, either bypass or staple the stomach for weight loss surgery, he said that he will help certain people through diet. He'll say, hey, do you really want to do this? Here's an option. You can decide to try this way of eating for like 6 weeks. And if you feel better, lose some weight, like maybe you keep going, but either try that or we can do your surgery. He's like, he'll do either or. He'll try and help him lose weight naturally, or he'll go ahead and do the surgery. It's what he does. Yeah. But he says they won't do the surgery when there's fatty liver present. And he said, and so the way to get rid of that is we just put people on a liquid diet for like 3 days. And so he said after 3 days, there's no more fat around the liver. So fatty liver is presented as this like major thing, like, oh, you have fatty liver disease, but it can be reversed with 3 days of liquid diet, which is really interesting. I want to shift real quick because I do want to keep this episode a little bit shorter. Because we can go all kinds of different directions. I just kind of like this quick, like, let's talk about this, let's talk about
this
that.
Is my first time. I
give
could
people,
stay here all day.
I know, give people something to think about. And that's what I want to do. Like, it really, I think the conversation of diet belongs in the same category as religion and politics. Like, because people have food beliefs and they will fight tooth and nail based on what they believe about diet. And so it's just interesting. But what I want to talk about is like food is medicine. And so I think food is a completely different category than food products. Because when you go to the supermarket, the majority of the stuff that's packaged, the majority of it is a food product that has been created and marketed by a company.
Very
right?
well too.
Very well. So it's not actually something you can find in nature. So I think food exists naturally. I think food products are manufactured, or, you know, they're produced. You have to do something to it. Even like a fermented bread, you're now taking things that are found in nature and you're producing a food product. But so not all food products are bad, but the majority of food products are bad. So if you just want to, I would like to define food as anything that you can find in nature and eat, like without having to overly manipulate it with any kind of like man-made chemical or something like that. Like, so if I were to just eat, when I think about diet, you know, I've thought about, it's hard to not think about tools. Like the keto diet's a tool. The paleo diet is a tool. Some of these things are tools, and then some of these things are just ways of eating for people. So I like to think of a healthy way of eating for me would just to eat clean. Like, and when I say clean, it means without any man-made chemicals that are there to preserve. Right. So anyways, I just want to put that out there. So what do you think about, you know, food versus food product? Like, how do we get people to see? So when I say, well, what kind of food are you eating? And they say, well, I eat these potato chips and I eat Lucky Charms. I would not call that food. I would call that food product. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And so I think that way, but not everybody thinks that way. What do you think?
I mean, something's got to go into the gut, right? Something's got to satiate somebody from a massive hunger craving of some kind. I think of food as like, you got to put something in there. And so the problem is we're all on an uphill battle. Go out into the supermarket, go out into town and look for what options we have. We all have an uphill battle. There's maybe one or two places in town that I could maybe recommend to go get a gluten-free pizza with good ingredients or something. Like, what options do we have? Like, even the salads come with a salad dressing that has toxins in it. And so it's like, we're always constantly running from this machine that's turned on that it's here to stay. So now we got to figure out what to put back in the system. You know, what do we have to start taking responsibility and putting in our own little bit of work, a little bit of time. And, you know, not to talk about moonsour or anything, but like if people can find a way to do fermented anything, doesn't matter what it is, they're at least going to be putting good, healthy microbes in the body and help to break down some of those toxins. Mm-hmm. So like, it's one of those things that you can't get rid of the bad food or the toxins, or we don't have enough money to say, hey, we need a new restaurant chain. We need to take healthy food and make it fast food available. And it's like, well, that doesn't work. It's not possible. The cost is too much to make that happen on a global scale. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So we don't have options for good, clean food, but we have to start having the conversation. Well, what can we do?
Right. Yeah. What's
left over after all that's been said and done? You know?
So tell me, when we talk about food as medicine, how have you personally healed your body with food in any way, shape, or form?
Ooh. So I've been on this like clean eating thing for like 10 years now. When I came back from the military, I was when I got out of the military, I never.
You mean you've been thinking about it?
No. I've been studying diets.
You've been studying.
Yeah, I've been studying clean sources of food. I understood keto 8 years ago, and I went through a rigorous like fasting protocol and all that stuff. Like some of that stuff's all popular in the market right now, but I've been looking at this for a long time, and I wondered like why are things not getting better? Why, when I went to my doctor, when I came back here, the VA told me that I was pre-diabetic and they handed me a diet to follow. And after I started doing my own education, I look at that diet they gave me and they were going to only make me sicker. They wanted me to eat breads and whole food grains. And now I know that gluten is one of the most disruptive things to our whole entire body, way worse than any other ingredient that we constantly consume. Mm-hmm. Like I would say that if I had to choose between gluten or alcohol, I'd take the alcohol. My body will process it faster. That gluten is going to take 72 hours to clean out of my body, one serving. One piece of bread takes 3 days to process through the system.
Tyson, do you want this piece of whole grain bread or do you want a shot of tequila?
Tequila. and where are we going?
You're going to take that shot of tequila and end up at freaking Domino's at 1 a.m. So tell me what you healed. What did you do?
Skin issues. I had I got bit by a tick right here. We were out like Memorial Day weekend fishing at my family pond. Got some ticks, but there was one right here, and like it took like 6 months for it to heal.
Really?
And then I got another skin bump and another skin bump, and I was like, oh my gosh! Like started researching Lyme disease, and turns out like certain deer and livestock, certain things can like, but Lyme disease is more popular up in the Northeast. And so I was like, okay, this is just in a tick bite. Something else is going on. But I had skin rashes to where I'd have to get up in the morning at 3 o'clock in the morning out of a dead sleep because I felt like needles were coming out of my skin. And I had to go to the refrigerator and get ice cubes and like numb my whole skin to like calm down the nervous system. Yeah. So I might be able to go back to sleep. And this went on for like months. And so I got to that point where I was like, God, do I have skin cancer or what's going on here? And this is so sad to say because at the same time, like I knew what nightshades were. I knew nightshades weren't good for you. I knew it was kind of poisonous.
What is a nightshade?
It's a certain type of vegetable or fruit that exists in nature. They have a certain type of molecule in it.
So like,
and
give
it
me an
basically
example.
is just like a
potato and a tomato?
Potato, eggplant, tomatoes.
What about zucchini and squash?
Peppers are nightshades also. So like jalapenos, green peppers and all that. Nightshades have their own defense mechanisms. Right. They have a reason why to prevent you from eating it. You know, they don't want the animals to eat them, right? So they have some way to kick back against predators. And so it's just their version of defense mechanism.
What is the word? It's like a phenol. Do you know the
phenotype?
I don't know.
No.
Anyways,
polyphenol. I don't know.
Polyphenol, maybe that. Yeah.
So the skin issues that I were having, it turns out it was tomatoes.
Oh.
After all this stuff that I was like freaking out over, dermatologists, scraping skin, biopsy type of stuff, like I just changed my diet. All I did was quit eating tomatoes. It turns out I was having spaghetti every week. I was having tacos every week. I was having salsa with my tacos every week. I was having sandwiches at a restaurant and it all comes with a tomato. And if you go look at a restaurant, like 90% of the menu items have something with tomato in it. Okay. Barbecue sauce, ketchup, like tomatoes are just everywhere.
Interesting. Yeah.
And
you're like hitting me in the face right now with this because I love friggin' salsa.
Yeah. For 30 years, for 30 years of my life, 35 years of my life, tomatoes weren't a problem. All of a sudden, at one point, my immune system said, hey, you're going to cut this out. Yeah. We're going to give you a skin issue to warn you that you're making your life worse. This is going to get worse.
Interesting.
Skin issues are 95% of the time. It's a gut issue. Your body's pissed.
Right. And so isn't it like your liver is now pushing the toxin because it can't process the toxins, it pushes them through your skin kind of, and then it irritates your skin.
Yeah. Scalp issues. Yeah. Psoriasis, eczema, a lot of that stuff's something's going into the gut and causing an immune response. And basically that immune response is so heavy now that it's like poison ivy. The reason why poison ivy becomes a rash is because your immune system went like through the roof, like it overreacted to what oil was on your hand or arm, and it caused like a rash. And so any skin issues is an overreaction of the immune system. And so 35 years of tomatoes was fine, but at some point my immune response got to the point to where it was toxic, and obviously I lost a lot of sleep over it. And one of the best things you can do if you have health issues is start elimination diet. Like just start take things out, things out. And start paying attention.
Pay attention. Like, be self-aware.
What's going on? How do I feel? You know. So.
Well, that's a good segue into ending the episode. We're at about 15 or 20 minutes or so, and wanted to keep it short this time around. If you're interested in more of this kind of content, this food talk, Tyson, where can people find you?
You're on
Instagram.
I'm on Instagram as Zendude Tyrone right now. I really wish I could kind of come up with a handle that's a little bit more like businessy or.
I'm telling you, be the Wichita gut guy.
I just like to be the Zen dude,
The Zen dude, the gut guy.
I like balance, you know.
Okay.
I tell people to find beautiful food, make the better choice. There's no such thing as a best choice. And make sure it's balanced. Like if you have too much of any one thing, it's going to cause a problem sooner or later. The reason why I say screw the diets is because if you stick on one diet, I don't care which diet it is, if you stay on that one diet for too long, you will have a problem sooner or later. You cannot eat the same thing over and over and over again and expect your body to be healthy afterwards.
I think some of the people who are like on carnivore diet where they eat meat and salt only would beg to differ.
No, I mean, you can do it for a while. You can stay on a solid diet like that for about 5 years. But after 5 years, even a clean vegan diet or something like that, things start to break down.
Mm-hmm.
You have to have variety. There's seasonal changes. Like we're again, like in the millions of years of how did we get here?
Yeah.
And so there's always an evolution going on. There's always a winter and a summer. And I think people just need to become more aware.
Yeah. What's your final word, Lucian, to people listening to this today?
Go check me out on my YouTube channel.
I dropped the bomb.
Yeah, right.
But if we're talking about food and stuff like that, I would like to say, food is linked to behavior. That's what I learned about that whole sugar paper. Bringing that back up real quick. So this is what I healed about myself. I didn't have a skin issue necessarily, but I was having behavioral problems with like sugar and stuff like that. And so other foods that we're eating or unconsciously that we're just kind of just have done it for so long that it's a pattern to our mind. Our mind likes to do the same thing over and over again.
Yep.
They're causing those negative effects. And so, self-awareness is very, very keen and important. Knowledge and having new ideas in your head is very important. If you're not getting that new information, new knowledge, it's hard to change things because it's not that you're doing something wrong. You're just not aware. If you're driving a car improperly and then someone says, hey, this is what you're supposed to do, and you know what to do now. But if no one ever tells you what you're doing wrong, you don't know how to change it.
Yeah,
so
make
sure you're still getting more information on how to, get rid of some of those negative foods you may be eating and some of those other negative things you may be putting into your body. Not just food, but also like thoughts and other things that are coming into your body and your five senses. So that's really my key stuff.
I dig it. I think you guys both touched on kind of my final word is like, just be self-aware. Yeah. Listen to your body. Like notice the things that are going on. The skin rash, the skin tags, the way maybe you get a headache after you eat something, or maybe your stomach feels a little off. You're like, oh, must I ate something bad? Yeah. Well, maybe you did, right? Your fatigue, those kinds of things. Just pay attention to your body and, ask yourself the question, is there something that I started doing that I haven't been doing, or is it something that I ate? Because most of the time it's something that you ate, right? Yeah. Like, man, I slept like shit. Well, I had an alcoholic beverage 2 days in a row in the evening with dinner, and then I just slept like crap. Like, be aware. And from there you have a decision. Like your power is in your ability to decide and to have a will and then to act based on that will. And so that's it. Real Deal Villa podcast. We're back. Maybe we'll do some of these every now and then. It's not something that I'm doing regularly, right. But now that I've got this freaking studio, we have this studio.
You got a palace now that you get to hang out. You get a new playpen to
we do have a new playpen.
All this wonderful equipment that you bought. Like,
oh my gosh, I know. Yeah, it's a lot.
If you buy equipment, it doesn't do really good if it sits there. The treadmill with all the laundry on it. Yeah, it doesn't work.
That's right. Yeah. So now the thing becomes, we use the equipment, and I'm going to have a bunch of files that are going to sit on a hard drive that I actually have to do something with too. So that'll be fun. Awesome. Lucian, thank you. Tyson, thank you.
Hey, no, thank you. I appreciate it.
We'll see you guys next time.
Take care.